Shannon, what we're going to be using today, so we're going to primarily be focusing on just kind of the upper body, low back, shoulders, back, things like that. So what we're going to be using today is, if you have, doesn't necessarily have to be a bench, but it can even be a table. If you have, just for a reference point, typically most benches like you find in the gym are about 17.5 to 19.5 inches off the ground. Typically 17.5 is like industry standard. So if you have something like that, perfect, like an ottoman or a chair, something like that. Or if you don't, you can also use a table. So everything we're doing, we can also do it. I'm doing it on my knees. You can do it standing up as well. Okay, no problem. Also, other thing we'll be using today is if you have some sort of stick, it doesn't have to necessarily be industrial grade piping, but broomstick, mop stick, any kind of stick, you can use that. Or if you don't have a stick, then you can still go through the motions with like a towel or a shirt or something like that as well. You just have to, with that, you're going to actually have to add tension by keeping it nice and tight. So that said, let's go ahead and get rolling. So first thing we're going to do, like I said, everything I'm doing is on my knees. You can do this standing up. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, again, grabbing either the stick or grabbing the towel, if you're going to use a towel, just adding tension by keeping it nice and tight. We're going to go grabbing it, and we want to have our palms facing us. We want to be about maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width. Perfectly fine. And then whatever surface you're using, one thing it has to be a flat surface. So whatever surface we're using, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place our elbows on that surface. Same cues apply whether we're standing up or if we're on our knees. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to set those shoulders down and back. Okay, so we don't want our shoulders up next to our ears. Set them down and back. Next thing we want to do is make sure that our tailbone is tucked. And from here, we're going to just kind of explore. And the whole point of what we're going to do next is just opening up that lat or that muscle that runs from our armpit all the way down, almost all the way down our side. So again, placing those elbows, we're about shoulder width, maybe a little bit more shoulder width apart, tailbone tucked, shoulders back. And then we're going to take a big deep breath in. Exhale, driving those elbows back. I'm sorry, driving those arms back, hands back, hips back, and then coming up. And we're just going to go ahead, going at whatever pace works best for you. We're just trying to explore. And just really feel those lats or latissimus dorsi. Feel that muscle along the side. Really just opening up. Remember to push those hips down and back. And again, whether we're doing this standing up, same cues apply. Hips go down and back. Elbows are planted on that flat surface, whether it's a bench, a table, a chair. Same rules apply. We're going to go ahead, cycling through just a few more, and then we'll move into our next movement. Remember just to breathe. Each time we go through this, we're going to try to push those hips further and further back, okay? Again, those elbows aren't moving, they're planted, pushing those hands back, really just opening up. If you want, you can just hang out here at the bottom of the stretch, really lengthening those lats, and then coming back up. We'll go ahead, just a few more, and like I said, then we'll transition into our next movement. Perfect. All right, and here we go. As we transition into our next movement, we're going to go ahead, pause. For now, we're going to go ahead, if you're using a broomstick or mop stick, we're going to go ahead, put that down on the ground for now. We still are going to use our flat surface, but what we're going to do here is tailbone tugs, shoulders still down and back, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to placing our, say, left hand. So our forehead is going to be on our left hand. Right hand is going to be free. And what we're going to do is we just want to keep that shoulder, both shoulders, but primarily the right shoulder because it's going to be moving. Keep it back away from the ears, and we're just going to slowly raise it off of that flat surface, keeping it nice and level, whatever that level is. We don't want the elbow flaring up. We don't want it flaring down. We want everything to be nice and level. From here, we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring that arm straight out. Once we get to about shoulder height, we can go ahead, turn it so the palm is facing up, and then rotating it back as far as we can, and then bringing it back. Once we get about shoulder height, rotating it forward, and then bringing it right back to where it started. And we're going to just kind of explore and go through this motion. And again, just kind of working on internal, external shoulder rotation. Also, another great thing about this mobility movement is that it also helps you with spatial awareness. Because now, as you're bringing that hand back up to that starting position, now you'll have the idea if your hand's kind of drifting down, if it's drifting up, or if it's right where you're keeping it. Again, we're just going to go through just a few more, really trying to bring it back as far as you can. Perfect. We'll go through just a few more, then we'll change sides. Rinse and repeat onto the other side. After just about one more. So if you're pacing with me, here we go. We'll make this the last one. Here, out, rotate, palm up, back. Perfect. And then go ahead, bring it back. All right, let's go ahead and reset. And again, we're going to just rinse and repeat. So now we're going to have our forehead kind of resting on our right arm. Left arm is going to move. So setting those shoulders back, left arm up, out, rotate, and bring it back. And if you notice, not saying that I have the best mobility because I don't, but if your hand doesn't come up and touch your back, that is okay. That is okay. Okay? The main point here is just exploring and finding those end ranges as we're rotating that shoulder internally and externally. We'll go just a few more. And then we'll change it up. Perfect. All right, just keep moving, just keep moving. Nice and slow, be methodical, be intentional with each movement. And here we go. If you're pacing with me, we'll make this the last one right here. Rotating, bringing it back up. Perfect. We'll go ahead, we'll relax right there. And what we're going to do now is just going to go and just get that spine and go into some spinal extensions. Again, you can do this standing up. You just have to have a bench. And we're going to be down on the ground. So here's what we're going to go into next. So you may all be familiar with Cobra, where we're here on the ground, pushing those hips down into the ground, and we're right here. So we're going to kind of do the same thing, but we're going to be using obviously either a bench or a chair. So what we're going to be doing here is just place your hands about shoulder width apart. As your hands are about shoulder width apart, we're going to go ahead, and again, whether you're standing up or sitting down, cues are still the same. We're going to go ahead kind of up into like a plank position. And now from here, we're going to go ahead and let those hips dip down. We want the head to come up, and we're just dipping down. Now, benefit of this, also keep those shoulders back. You don't want them up next to the ears still. Benefit of this is we're able to, so for those of you who are my mobility monsters, you're able to get a little bit deeper into that stretch, a little bit more into that back bend. And for those of you who may not be a mobility monster, perfectly fine. You're still able to control how deep you go, but also at the same time, we're building stability and strength as well as you're still holding yourself up. And it's almost like a plank as well as we're going into this back or spinal extension. Go ahead, we'll take 3 big deep breaths in. Exhale, letting those hips fall deeper. In, exhale. For one more, in, exhale, perfect. And we're gonna go ahead, bringing it back. And again, whether you're using a bench or if you're using a chair, we're going to go ahead, doing the exact opposite, kind of going into a pike, but we're just using a bench or a table. If you're using a table, that just means your hands are here and you're pushing your hips back. If you're using a bench like me or a chair, still about the same thing. We're just a little bit lower. Again, pushing those hips back. And here, yes, we are kind of getting into the hips and hamstrings, but I want you to think low back. I want you to think long spine. And the goal here is just having those hands planted and just long spine, long spine. That's the main goal here. And just with each passing breath, we're just trying to have that spine get longer and longer, have those hips come further and further back as those hands stay planted and they don't move. Right here, right here. Perfect, perfect. All right, now as we're standing on up, we're going to go ahead, kind of tie everything together. So we're going to start with our right hand. What we're going to do is just kind of a nice around the world, just a nice arm circle. So what we're going to do here is as we're have a nice long spine, really feeling it getting longer. Now we're going to have that right hand come up off of the bench or table or chair or whatever you're using. And we're going to go ahead, fixing our eyes onto that right arm. We're going to go ahead, bringing it up, back, around, come up underneath whatever you were touching, and then bringing it back forward. Now, with this movement, a couple things I want you to be intentional about. Keep those hips and shoulders as square with whatever object you're using as we're going through the motion, okay? We're going through the movement. Trying to keep those hips and shoulders nice and square. Trying not to have too much flexing. We're just trying to make sure that shoulder rotator cuff has the greatest amount of range of motion that we can have in it. Also at the same time, we can still be pushing back our hips and we're still going to be thinking long spine, long spine. Still trying to have that low back, alleviating any pain, also in the shoulders, rib cage area, wherever you may have some issues. We're just trying to make it nice and long. That's it. Here we go. We'll go about one more if you're pacing with me. Here we go. Last one right here on the right. Underneath. Bring it back. Here we go. Over to the left. Same thing. Again, trying to keep those shoulders and hips square and coming around. Now, if you happen to have a wall next to you, that's also something else you could use to help keep you honest as well and let you know exactly how much twisting your body has to do in order for your arm to come all the way around and all the way forward. We'll go a few more. Perfect, perfect. Here we go, we got two more if you're pacing with me. Here. And one more. And perfect. And there we have it. That's hopefully your low back, shoulders feel a little bit better. But
again, thanks for watching this video. I hope you take away a few tools that you can use on your everyday life and along your fitness and wellness journey. That said, be safe, be well, until next time.